Hello everybody, Всем привет. Today I decided to work on fixing the level up screen. So when your hero gets a certain amount of experience, they gain a level. And I had started doing events where heroes were getting experience. You know, if you pick up a treasure chest, you get either like between 1,000 and 2,000 gold, or you get that quantity of gold minus 500 is the experience level you can get for donating it to the peasants. And if you go to a gazebo, you get 1,000 experience. You also get experience for the hit points of creatures that you defeat in battle. Now, I have not implemented battle yet, but um, when I do, you'll be gaining experience for that. And also, if you have a battle with a castle or a town and you win, you get an additional 500 experience points for the castle bonus. There's actually a bug, I think, in the game with trolls giving you 60 points of experience and Cyclops giving you 60 points of experience, even though trolls have 40 hit points and Cyclops have 80. So I'm guessing that was a typo. I don't know if that was the same in the DOS version 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 of the game. I'm not sure, but I'll probably do a little bit of research into that. I will probably fix that in this version of the game. But anyway, currently, as we're moving around, we pick up some, we pick up some treasure chests. We take the experience, and we get our 1,000 experience, but no level happens. There's no level up. We can sneak through here because we haven't implemented battles yet, and we've skipped certain collision detection. We get another 1,000 experience. We're at 2,000 experience, and Atlas here should have leveled up twice. So I basically start out, and also, yeah, I should highlight on the real game, when you go to the hero screen here and you right click, right now it's doing nothing when I right click, but it should show you your level and your current experience and then your next level of experience, like how much, at what level, at what experience point count you will gain the next level. So I looked this up from Acid Cave. It actually goes all the way up to 75, and at 75 you start to, well, that at level 75 you would bug the game. So the game just crashes actually when you get that much experience. But this is a good starting point, and I can fill this in later. The easiest way for me to get these levels is to do Dragon Rider and edit Castor's starting experience points. And that would tell me, I could then figure out the next level by just entering a couple experience points more than the level for 20 here. That would tell me the 21. Do the same for 21, and I could, so on and so forth. I could build that up and figure that out. But anyway, I'm explaining to the AI, what happens. We have to do a double level check if for some reason you have a very big battle and you gain like 5,000 experience. We need to check for multiple levels gained. When you do get a level up, the hero's level's incremented, and then one of the skills of the hero is semi-randomly incremented by 1. Each hero's main skill is likely to be incremented, and then their off skill and their opposing skills are least likely. So for a barbarian, their main skill is attack. That's the most likely to be incremented. Then maybe defense, and then spell power and knowledge are kind of rare for barbarians. The knight, the defense would be their main skill. Sorceress would be knowledge, and warlock would be spell power. And so I just took a guess at these probabilities. If anybody knows, please drop a comment. But I guess that the knight's attack defense would be about 30 or 40%, and spell power would be about 15%. And similarly with the sorceress, I was guessing 15% for attack and defense, and the spell power would be 30%, knowledge 40%. So I kind of use those as initial starting values. I could do a statistical analysis where I like level up a whole bunch in the game and kind of keep track of the probabilities. And if I did that like 10 times, I'd get a rough estimate. If I did that like 30 times, then that starts to be like an actual like normal distribution and a proper sample amount that you could start to guess the distribution. And if I did it 100 times, I would probably converge on whatever the actual value was. But first I thought I'd try asking if anybody knows in the comments, please let me know. I could also look at the executable and see if I could figure out some probabilities like that and see if it's programmed as fixed values into the executable. But that would require, more hex editing, and I'm capable of that. I just, there might be simpler solutions. Anyway, I think most of this logic belongs in event actions, but the display of the level up is in event CPP. It's always going to almost always going to occur after another event. So a user would click OK on that event if it's a battle victory, a daemon cave, treasure chest, gazebo visit, etc. And then the event actions credits the experience to the hero, but then the level check happens when the experience is updated and at least one level up event is triggered if the experience level is above the threshold for the next level. So multiple level up events can be queued if more than one level is reached. The stats chosen, and then +1s added to the chosen stat of that hero who leveled up. So the game display message looks like this, which, I had up here. Luna gained a level, so hero name gained a level, stat increased by 1. And that stat will depend on which one is randomly selected. So that's the text, and the full-size portrait of the hero is displayed. And then there's also this border ring around the hero, which I can't find. That border ring looks a lot like the border ring here in the hero screen, or if you go to the castle, it looks like this border ring. But I can't find that in the sprites, and maybe it's somewhere tucked away and I just haven't found it yet, but I can't find that yet. So go figure. And then I also want to update the hero screen so that when someone right-clicks on the hero experience area, so when someone right-clicks down here, it shows this level 2 current experience next level. Currently you're supposed to be able to click on the hero screen and see like creature stats, see like a little bit of info, see stuff about the artifact. I don't have any of that implemented yet, so this is my first implementation of a right-click action on the hero screen. And so I describe what needs to be displayed and the attached image, and this should also use the event box display with 1 spacer. So this is that same event box display with this gold filigree, the special stone border, and the purple backing. And then it's only displayed as long as the user is right-clicking in the experience box. So AI comes up with this and decides to make a level up function. So a whole separate file for it. All right. It picks the correct, or the weights that I suggested, which are a fine guess for now, and we'll fine-tune it later as we update those weights. Comes up with a level up dialogue, draw experience info box. So this is basically inheriting some of these elements from the events dialogue, and then this gives me this big patch of how to integrate it with everything. So I asked it some questions about how to patch this. How do I do that? It gives me a little bit of advice. I got some compiler errors with things not matching up quite right. And I think it also it assumed some values here, like HS res instead of like hero resource. So this is again where the AI just kind of sometimes doesn't get the right variable names, and you have to be ready for that and be like, oh, okay, it's actually talking about the hero resource. So, or maybe I have it backward. Maybe they suggested hero resource and it was HS res, but I think in my code I think it was HS res. So whatever it was, the AI got the wrong value there, so that was causing some errors, and you just have to be ready for that. So yeah, I guess it was HS res in the code. That was the correct value for the resources. So that's where the image resources that are used in the hero screen, that's where those resources are stored and extracted. Well, they're extracted in the resources CPP file and stored in memory. That's the correct articulation of what's going on. It applies this event result. It adds. So previously, this was my event system, and now it's adding this level system to like check for level ups. And then this is the right mouse button detection. If the hero screen is open, check if the right mouse is pressed down. And so for as long as it's pressed down, that's how long it will show. And this is at the very end, right before we do the rest of the rendering. So this is the dialog box that I was getting on the hero screen. So this is kind of inverted. You see there's some offset. Like basically it wasn't processing the it wasn't processing these buy build images. You know, these are the buy build ICN images for making this window. It wasn't processing those correctly. So basically this needs to be inverted, and then I forgot what happened last time, but there was something with basically needing to use the middle of these box pieces, using the middle for alignment, because if you look really closely here, there's like this sticks out 1 pixel, this is back in, and this sticks out 3 pixels. So if you align them in the center, then they line up correctly. If you do it this way, then it looks like this, which isn't correct. So I gave it some suggestions. The portrait lookup was also not correct. It wasn't looking up the portrait. So I gave it some suggestions. I've told the AI many times, it's in my code. It's actually port and then 4 values. It's like the portraits are up or down here, as it were. The portraits are in like port 0023, and then the portrait is 000. That's Astra here. So instead it's doing port raid, Portra ID. I don't know where it got that. I have no idea. Maybe it's from a different Heroes game or something, and that was the code that trained this AI. But I had to fix that because it wasn't showing the right portrait. So once we got that fixed, it didn't first. I had to correct it again here, and now it does this correctly. So it displays it looks up the portrait ID that's stored in the hero value, and then looks it up from the correct ICN file, and I was kind of fighting a little bit with the AI because it was starting to want to write a new draw by build function and reload the menus and stuff, and I was just like, no, I was just like, you're overdoing it, AI. Like, that's gonna break some other methods. This is the only box. So it starts to go really off here. And then I explain, all I want to do is mirror both sides of the box being drawn, using the buy build sprites for this box. All other boxes are being drawn correctly. Just this method does it incorrectly for some reason. So it starts to look again, figures out that it's basically this, aligning them in the middle. The box X plus the box width. And then it still doesn't quite get it, but it wants me to see some other existing method, but I give it the correct method that was working from the event system and say, use this. You know, please borrow from this code. And then it gets it right. So it's the false true for inverting these was backwards. So that's why they were being flipped around. And then I asked it to fix the level up CPP. It fixed that. And then I want to move the portrait up and see if I uncover the text. And what was actually happening here was, I think... Oh, I don't have it there, but see the text down here was being rendered too low. That's what I think was happening. But it could have been rendered up here as we were seeing before. So I need to double check if that was the case. But I think the gain to level text was correct, but then the other text was just behind this. And this is the correct behavior with the proper font. So it made a suggestion. This was the new level box, and you can see this is still offset a little bit incorrectly here. And I maybe had to do, yeah, I had to argue with it a little bit here because it didn't quite get it. And then I suggested, since they are reflected, maybe it is from the center. So that was my suggestion, and then it did fix it eventually. And then I took the records. All right, I made it document the process, made some pastable notes about the experience, some pastable notes about the flags, how we're rendering the badge tooltip here, and then also something for the UI about how we did the badge tooltip. It gave me a little too verbose, like it's a little bit overly done technical for just a simple badge tooltip, so I asked it to do something shorter. And then make me an update too for the architecture diagram. So I'm gonna close this and just show the functional version of this now. So we have Astra. We can see she's level 1. And let's go get her some experience. Hopefully this is more than 500. It's 1500. Okay, so we got a spell power +1 for Astrid. And level 2, we need to get another 500 experience. So maybe let's go, let's see if we can just take this treasure chest from these peasants without fighting them. Sure, yep, level 2. So on the level up screen, it doesn't say which level is gained. It just says, so there we did not, we have 3,000, and if we take this treasure chest, we got, oh, see, we got 2 levels at once there. So we went from 3,000 to 4,500, or yeah, from 2,000 and some to 4,500. So we just tested our double level up, and that worked. So that's pretty cool. And she is level 5, as we would expect. She got 1 attack skill, 2 spell power, and 1 knowledge as her various level ups. So it looks like it's working. Pretty happy with that.